Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome back to what for all intents and purposes is the midpoint of our training session, or our training season for the Spartan Ultra Vernon that's coming up later on in April here. So we kind of made it, time is flying by. And if you've been following along so far, if you go back to the very first session that we had on the goal planning, we had spent, or at least one of the aspects we're looking at goal planning is that goals are going to change over time as we get closer or farther from whatever activity you're going for. So in terms of this planning, back in December, we had spent December, our goal was just kind of get used to working out again, kind of get the legs started up, get used to kind of going out 3, 4, 5 times per week, just kind of get into a routine. And then as we moved into January, our goals changed. And January then was we had started pushing out the distances. And just this coming week now, we have our 12 milers coming up, which if you think about it, in this one workout, this one run coming up this following weekend, it's going to be longer than everything I did in the first week combined. So our distances are getting up there finally. However, it's February now, so our goals are going to change again. And as I mentioned in the very first episode again, our general goal for February, March is now we're going to start moving towards more kind of ultra-specific workouts. We've done a lot of our conditioning. We now have more endurance. We can last through whatever we want to do. Our legs are strong enough to take whatever workouts we're doing. So we have that. That's fine. It's time to start working on more ultra-specific type stuff. And you're probably thinking, yay, obstacles, we're doing that? Not quite. Obstacles are important because if we're going into this race, if you've ever watched like the YouTube videos or whatnot that usually people put out there, you're going to realize the obstacles themselves are going to take up probably about 30 to 40 minutes of the time you're going to spend on the course. The other statistical 10 to 14 hours you're going to spend on the course is going to be going up and down hills. So yes, the obstacles are great, but at the end of the day, if you're doing a beast or an ultra, these are trail runs with obstacles thrown in. If you do a sprint or a super, those are obstacle course race with trail running involved. A beast or an ultra is a trail race with obstacles thrown in. So yes, so that means from here on out, we're now going to start working on getting the trail running stuff down, which you can see I still can't do. We still have a foot of snow on the ground. I can't go out and do trails right now. This year has been a mess so far for trying to get out and doing stuff. But we can start doing hill workouts. However, what if we don't have hills to work out on? I live in an area that is dead flat. I need to drive out somewhere if I were to go after work to go and do hills or whatever. So I have no hills to work out here. You may have the same type of thing. I do have some I can do on the weekends. Again, once the snow melts, there are a number of trails and stuff around. But in terms of my daily kind of activity, I have nothing I can do in terms of hill stuff. So we need to do a little improvisation on how to do this. And when thinking of how to do the hills, there are really 3 aspects we're going to need to work on to get these hills to work. The first is as you do the hills, you're going to build up the lactic acid in your legs. And the best way to basically defeat that and to kill that and not have that destroy your legs throughout the course of these courses is, well, that's what our zone 2 running is for. Our zone 2 running is built to build up the mitochondria in our cells, which actually breaks down the lactic acid more proficiently than if you don't have that. So if you just kind of do your Rudy kind of runs and kind of do your Rudy kind of workouts where you just go as hard as you can, as fast as you can for any workout you do, you're not going to build up the mitochondria for reasons I had talked about earlier, I think in session 3, when I did the zone 2 stuff. But we've been doing these really, really slow runs to build up the mitochondria so that ultimately we can break down the lactic acid. This is a mountain course. We are going up about 33 flights of like stairs or story building per mile, every mile for the 31 to 32 miles we're going to be on this course. Vernon has never been short. It has always been 32 or more miles every time I've been on it. So they've never shorted this one. So the zone 2 I've been doing that one for the last like 6 weeks specifically for counteracting this hill work. So the second is we're going to need strength. We do need to have some kind of muscle mass in order to make it up and down so we don't tear the muscles that we go. And more mass, we got to make that better. And the third is going to be technique. Or third, I can do 3 fingers. Our third is going to be the technique. How do we do it safely? How do we do it efficiently? How do we do it so we're not breaking down the muscle as much as we can? So the main purpose of this one is if I can't go on the hills right now, we're going to go over how to build some of that muscle mass in there and how I'm going to incorporate one very specific workout kind of once or twice a week at the end of the other workouts, and that is. And that's going to be, my friend, the lunges. Oh, we love lunges. They're quick, they're easy to do, but dang do they hurt after a while. You're going to learn to hate these things. And just to give you a quick overview of what I mean with these, I'm going to go jump outside real quick, and I'll meet you back in here after this one segment. All right, so when it comes to lunges, there's really not that much to it. It's not rocket science here. So all we're going to be looking for on this is if we step back, we're going to start good vertical position. Take big step forward. It's going to be about a yard or a meter, whichever method you're using to measure in place. And we're going to lean down. Now, traditionalist, you're going to have your knee hitting the ground. I'm wearing the tights here. Later on, we're going to be wearing shorts and whatnot. We're doing this on a roadway, so I tend to hover just a little bit. Want to keep our body here nice and straight. We're not leaning forward. We're not leaning back. Just keep everything nice and straight. Come up. Repeat. And that's really all there's going to be to that. It seems nice and simple, but you're going to learn to hate this to hate this thing as we keep increasing the length of distance we need to do on this. So that's all we have for that. All right, so that's what we're going to be dealing with. So what I usually do, or what I started doing in the last several of these mountain races I've done, I didn't do it in the first couple. I really realized that was a huge mistake because my legs just turned to stone after half marathon distance. But what I start doing is now once or twice a week, I'm just going to start at about a quarter mile away from where I'm finishing my workout, and I'm just going to stop my run there, and then I'm going to go and do lunges as far as I can to get as close as I can to what would have been my finish line before. And now if you can get to a point where you can complete the entire quarter mile to get to your place, you're going to be fine on this course. You're going to be doing really good. You're going to be ahead of a lot of people on here. But that's really, like I said, I'm a big fan of just keeping things simple. If I don't need to add like dozens of layers to this, if you can do a quarter mile lunges before this race comes up, you're going to do amazingly well on any type of mountain stuff. If you can go beyond that, I know when I was training for Tahoe, the Worlds up in Tahoe for the Ultra a number of years back before it got canceled, I was able to do about a half mile's worth of lunges going into that. And yes, it's slow as heck. It sucks doing it. You embrace the suck. I believe I forget who phrased that. I don't know if that's a Spartan phrase or if that was just a phrase from somewhere else I got. But yeah, it's a lousy way to end your runs. But danged if it's not effective in the end. So just once or twice a week, usually if I have a big distance run like this week coming up, I have the 12-miler, I may just do it like a Tuesday after a run and not do a second one so I can go into the big one fresh. And then the weeks in between, I might do it after 2 runs because now I'm not saving up for anything. So it'll depend on week to week which way I'm going to do it. But that's pretty much my big key for doing the hill stuff. We're still doing our once to twice a week after, like, at night or in the morning, wherever you want to do it, of the runner-based strength training, which is, again, focusing on your calves, your hamstrings, quads, and glutes. We're still doing the once or twice a week on the upper body stuff, which is going to be the dead hangs, the pulls, the pull-ups, push-ups, and farmer's carries. We're still doing those now that we are just the 2.5, 3 months, not even 3 months away. We're getting closer. You might start moving more towards the twice a week rather than once a week if you're not sure of yourself. If you don't feel comfortable in the obstacles, do the upper body stuff maybe the twice a week rather than once. But that's kind of where I'm at on this one. Is just if you can get hills to run up and down, that's good. That's a good way. The lunges are a good way to simulate going up the hills, coming back down. You really do need to get out on a hill to simulate the pounding on your feet going down. So the good thing with Vernon is there aren't that many ridiculously steep. This isn't the Killington. There aren't that many super steep declines. that are really going to kill your legs on it. There are a couple, but they tend to be isolated. They're kind of shorter in length, and they're far apart from each other. But the big one is just, get your body used to going uphill. If you don't have the hills, lunges are by far my favorite way to do this, because you can do it on flat terrain. You can do it anywhere. It's just a good way to build up strength, and it gives you that quantity-wise. If you know you can do an eighth mile, a quarter mile, 3/8 of a mile, somewhere in there, you're going to be fine for this race. And I know it's not a big woohoo session, but that's all I have for this one. Next week, I'm going to try to put everything together. Finally, I just wanted to get this one out right now so you have a head start on getting this next workout plan. But I do have one big one I've been talking about for a couple weeks that I do want to get out next week. That said, for this week's worth of workouts, in case you haven't been following along, I'm going to try to get my goal is to have 29 miles of distance in my runs this week, with the big one being a 12 miler at the end of the week. And probably the two others in there are going to average around probably 5 to 6 miles a piece as like a 10K or like a 5 miler 10K, with the two kind of recovery runs being either like 3.5 mile, kind of just easy recovery runs kind of after one of the other big ones we've done. Again, we're doing non-consecutive runs as we go in, and that's that. But now the big one is going to be the 12 miler at the end. We really want to get that one down so we can keep our pace of going and continuing to build up and keep building upon what we've been doing so far. But that's about it. And until next time and until next week, enjoy.